electron microscopy. This is the topic for today. So we studied the light microscope and the basic principle of all microscope, as we mentioned, was that Abbe's equation, isn't it? That all microscopes depend on what? This D is equal to 0.61 lambda by n sine theta. So the purpose for a better microscope is to decrease the value of D. So if you decrease the value of D, that means you are making a microscope which is capable of resoluting more closer objects, more closer points. Objects here means whatever you are putting in the slide, the cells or any type of structures that you want to see. How much closer it can look into. So if D is lesser, that means it is better, the microscope is better looking for more closer objects. So its resolution is high. So that is the purpose. So for that purpose we have seen that for a bright field microscope or for a phase contrast, whatever, for a light microscope, you can increase the value of refractive index. This is called numerical aperture. You can increase the value of numerical aperture to a little bit, maybe up to 1.5 or so. And you can also decrease the lambda maybe up to 400 nanometers, but you cannot go beyond that. So there is a limitation for a light microscope. So for that reason, people thought that how to decrease the wavelength further. So the answer was the electron beams. Electron beams move so fast and they have a kind of a nature that when they pass through an electromagnetic environment, their speed can be enhanced, their wavelength can be further decreased, the frequency can be increased. If you increase the current in the electromagnetic environment, the lens is basically an electromagnetic substance. It is an iron, soft iron, wounded with a metal wire. So the number of wires, how many times it is wounded, that is also crucial, and how much current you are passing through that. That will influence the speed of velocity of electron beam passing through the object. So here the purpose was to decrease lambda. To decrease that, they used electron beams in electron microscope. That is the thing. And you can decrease it theoretically to a level maybe up to 10 angstrom or even less. Usually they decrease up to 10 nanometer or so that you can observe objects of about 5 nanometer. Little bit more than that. So you can observe membrane which is about 7 nanometer. You cannot observe, of course, DNA which is 2 nanometer. So double-stranded DNA will not be visible with an high resolution electron microscope, TEM, with a projector lens of a kind, can in fact resolute double-stranded DNA also. So the main thing about electron microscope is the electron beam that we produce having a very, very low wavelength. How it is being generated? It is generated with the help of a tungsten wire, and which is kept as cathode. So this is cathode. From here the electron beams are being generated towards an anode. And that's why the electrons because they are negatively charged, they will move towards anode, move fast towards anode, and then they will pass through a tube which is basically vacuum, but it has some lenses. It has some magnetic lenses like this. These lenses are coated with wires, copper wire. Okay, through this it will pass through. Okay. And there will be a kind of a setup there are two types of electron microscope, two basic types of. One is called SEM, scanning electron microscope. Another is called TEM, transmission electron microscope. As the name suggests, scanning electron microscope, it scans the object. It gives the morphological surface feature of it reveals the surface feature of the object. What is the 3D structure, how much is the depth of an object, okay? You try to see that. If you try to see a bacteria, maybe a virus, or any other particle, nanoparticles, different kinds of nanoparticles are being also seen nowadays. People work on nanoparticles. Or any cell, or in fact, any, maybe it may be the insect antenna, or filament of an alga, or flagella of a particular zoospore, okay, or sperm, etc. You can visualize the morphology of that. Suppose you are saying with the spore, okay, or sperm, etc. You can visualize the morphology of that. Suppose you are saying with a light microscope, you saw that a particular insect has on its legs, there are small appendages like this. With the light microscope, you can see this. But when you see this with an electron microscope, you find that these hairs, they have another kind of a hair, which was not visible with the light microscope. Understand? This is the thing. You designated two species. You finally decided that these are not two species, they are same species, depending on your light microscopic study. You saw that both of them have this kind of a hair-like appendages, on the basis of which you said that no, these two species are not two species, they are one species. You fused them together. But another guy who did an scanning electron microscope, to see whether really they are similar or not. So what he found that, okay, he or she, whatever, he found that, yeah, there are some hairs over it. Okay, so how can this, but that those hairs are absent here. So these two things cannot be similar. That is the capacity that scanning electron microscope gives you. Okay, so after the scanning electron microscope came, many such kind of research which were earlier thought to be similar species, they were distinguished on the basis of the structural differences they had on the surfaces. Okay, some of the alga, they have on the flagella, they have scales on the flagella. So the minute details, when you see them, and advanced microscope they used to come as time goes, research goes on, a little bit of advancement comes, like your mobile phone and other things. The instrument becomes more sophisticated, and that gives you a deeper insight into the subject. Okay. So that is one thing. SEM gives you the morphological features. TEM, as a name, transmission electron microscope. It is just like the microscope that the compound microscope, light microscope that you use. You put a section in the middle. The light passes through it, and the light comes through from the back side and passes through it, enters the objective lens, then the eyepiece lens, and reaches your eye. That is a transmitted beam of light. Here in scanning electron microscope, when you scan something, you are seeing these objects, you are scanning everything, table, mobile phone, duster, pen. These things you visualize by the reflected lights, isn't it? The light that gets reflected from the object. But when you see that within that glass there is a substance, there is a bottle, the light is coming through the glass to you. That is the transmitted ray. Of course, that is also whatever you are seeing is surface picture. This is not the correct example of TEM. Transmission, I wanted to say, symbolize that, okay, what is meant by transmission? Now, we will see, with the help of the TEM, you see the inner structures. You do a cross-section of the specimen, it may be cell even, and you try to see the maybe mitochondria, chloroplast, nuclear material, nuclear chloroplast, how is the nucleoplasm organized. You even try to see, localize a particular protein, where it is. That is called immunocytochemistry, immunogold method, we will see that. Okay? That is also done with the help of the confocal or fluorescence microscope. But with the help of the confocal or fluorescence microscope, that uses a light beam. The light has a limitation of magnification, it will not magnify the object, but it will let you know where the particular protein is going. With the help of TEM also, you can localize a particular protein in the cell. You have to have a monoclonal antibody for that. Are you getting me? What do you want to say? So let us first see. The electron beam and matter interaction. When the electron beam hits the object, here it is a biological object, then how does it interact with that? In case of same, what particular light or reflected beam you use to make your image? And for TEM, what transmitted light you use? Let us see that. This is called electron beam matter interaction. So, say here is your specimen. Okay, so this is the specimen. The electron beam is coming from upward down, and after hitting it, it gets reflected. Different types of lights are being produced, and some of the light gets transmitted downward. Some of the light gets deflected like this. Some of the light enters into the matter, producing heat. So this kind of a interaction occurs, and these lights are, this is electron beam. With a high velocity, it is hitting the object, and then this is called secondary electron. Backscattered electron beam. This is cathode electron beam. Okay, so these many kind of reflected electron beams and transmitted electron beams are being generated when an electron, high velocity electron beam strikes this object. Okay. So for same purpose, scanning electron microscopy, you use these two, secondary electron and backscatter electron. Okay. There is an instrument that is called Faraday cage. The Faraday cage that captures this. Okay, and that is then magnified by an amplifier. Because the signal is poor, so it is magnified further. And with the help of a cathode ray tube, you generate the image. Okay. And this is for scanning. These electron beams are not used. Okay, not used for this electron microscopic purpose. For same purpose, we use this one. This is STEM, scanning electron microscope. And for TEM purpose, you use this direct, unscattered or undeflected electron beam, or you use elastically scattered electron beam. You use these two for TEM purpose. I will tell you how these lights have been, electron beams are being generated, these elastically and inelastically scattered. Let me elaborate. For TEM, when you are talking about TEM, so this is the nucleus and these are the electrons. So a lot of electron beams are coming. Some of them are passing directly. Some of them are, they hitting this, they get deflected like this. Okay, some of them are coming like this, they get deflected like this. This is the way they get scattered. This is the nucleus, and this is the electron. So this is direct transmitted light. Okay. This one is the elastically scattered. I'm saying light is not light. Electron beam. This is elastically scattered electron beam. This is inelastically scattered electron beam. We are not going to use this. You are going to use these two for generating your image in TEM, transmission electron microscope. This is an atom. So there are atoms in the whatever the thing you want to observe is made up of atoms, and basically to generate more amount of scattering or deflection, you impregnate your specimen with heavy metals. You impregnate your section, whatever section you produce, with heavy metals. Heavy metals have heavy nucleus, so they will scatter. They will produce a better scattering. That will help you generate a good picture. So now see what is the instrumentation for TEM and SEM. Here, so this is the tungsten wire that is generating electrons, and that is passing through an anode. Okay, then you have some lenses over here, 3 lenses. The lenses are not made of glass. They are not the lenses that are present in light microscope. There you use glass as a lens. Here, these are the lenses, electromagnetic lenses. They are made of electromagnetic lens. Okay, all of them. Yeah. So there are in fact three lenses, and the number may vary. The number may be more depending on probably depending on the level of sophistication. I mean, if it is a high resolution microscope, then it will have more number of these kind of lenses fit into the vacuum tube. Okay, so the first lens is the condenser lens. This one is the condenser lens. Then this is the objective lens. And then you have another lens that is is called projector lens. Okay? You put your specimen between these two. Here is your specimen. The electron beam is coming, it is hitting the specimen. Okay, then it is generating an image over here. This is the first image that is being generated. It is again generating a bigger image over here. So this will be in fact opposite. This will give you the image. Okay. So this is the way you produce your image. Scanning electron microscope, you have only condenser lens, then a deflection coil, then there is another lens which you can say, which is also a condenser lens. So electron beams are being generated from the same thing. The electron beam source is same. Okay. So here is the electron beam that is being generated, and they pass through a tunnel, a vacuum tunnel, and then there are condenser lenses over here. These lights get, electron beam, they get condensed. And then there is at this position, there is a coil through which the electron beam pass. This is called deflection coil. This is condenser lens. And then again there is a condenser lens over here. That will condense the light again. Sorry, light not electron beams. It will condense over here. And here is your specimen. This is your specimen. This specimen is on a stack, on a particular platform. You can tilt the platform the way you like. उसको इधर उधर कर सकते हैं एंगल. So because you are trying to see किसी चीज को देखने के लिए what you do? इधर जाओ, 3-dimensional shape देखने के लिए. या तो you change the particular object or you move yourself. So here you can change the angle of this so that you can look it properly. Electron beams are being generated. So this electron beam is secondary electron. This is backscattered electron. You're going to capture this. You're going to capture this through a Faraday cage. So this is Faraday का डबल आर है ना सिंगल आर है, हमको लगता है सिंगल आर, Faraday cage. And then there is a diode amplifier. And then there is, as I mentioned, there is a cathode ray tube. Earlier it used to be CRT, cathode ray tube. The television that we used to use, cathode ray tube. I think it has been replaced by some digital mechanism nowadays. Image generating mechanism has changed. So possibly LED must be there. I think LED screen has come. That has to be seen. That I don't know. So this is how scanning. Here you are using the reflected beam of electrons, not the transmitted beam of electrons. So the difference with the light microscope is what? In the light microscope, you are using light as a source of illumination. Here you are using electron beams in place of light. Okay. The second thing, in light microscope, you are using glass lenses. Here you are using electromagnetic lenses instead. These are the two differences on the basis of the instrumentation, main difference. And the principle wise, the wavelength of electron beam here is very, very less compared to the light what you are using in light microscope. Limitation of that is 400 nanometer. Here you can go up to 10 angstrom or even lesser than that theoretically, but practically you have to keep it about maybe 10, 25 like that nanometers. So how can you increase or decrease the wavelength? It depends on the current that you are passing or voltage that you are applying to the electromagnetic lenses. So that depends on a particular formula, that lambda is equal to 12.2 divided by square root of voltage into 0.1 nanometer. This is voltage, V is voltage. And we know that V is equal to IR. I means current, R is the resistance. So if you increase the current, voltage will be increased. So when you increase the voltage, lambda will get decreased. Decreasing the lambda is our purpose, because this will decrease the D value. D is what? 0.61 lambda by n sine theta. So this one. So you are decreasing the lambda wavelength by increasing the voltage in the electromagnetic lenses in your electron microscope. Isn't it? So remember these things, these formulas, it will help you to write the answer. And there are some things which are about specimen preparation. How do you prepare your specimen for scanning electron microscopy or transmission electron microscopy? There are different ways of preparing your specimen. Okay, let us see that. The first one is